Revelation chapter 18. Revelation chapter 18. And Revelation chapter 18 is one of my favorite chapters in the Bible, and here's the reason why. It is the last chapter of the tribulation. When you get to chapter 19, Jesus is coming. Man, we're going to have a marriage supper of the Lamb, and we got Battle of Armageddon, and we're devils going to the bottomless pit. I mean, it is going to get good. If you can, every time I've gone through Revelation, man, when you get through the tribulation, it's heavy. But if you can just hang on and get through it, then things start happening. And so that's where we're at, Revelation chapter number 18. And we're going to do something tonight I don't think I've ever done in my life before. I'm going to cover the entire chapter. All of it. Cover it all. We may stop and have a snack in between. But we're going to cover the whole thing tonight. Revelation chapter 18. Babylon is fallen. Babylon is fallen. The foremost subject on everybody's mind is the economy. Every politician that comes into office, he comes with the promise that I'm going to make the economy grow, and I'm going to lower prices and reduce inflation, and I'm going to eliminate the national debt, and he never does. In fact, we don't even expect him to. We kind of know that's an empty promise. The new political buzzword right now is affordability. Affordability. In fact, you may have been pleased to know that even today there was some kind of investment summit in Washington. Everybody from the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia to Elon Musk was there. President Trump talking about, I think, $18 trillion of investments that he has gotten into the United States economy. I don't think I'll see $1 of it in my bank account, to be honest with you. We have the sense that the economy is a teetering house of cards that could crash at any time. The politicians in Washington, the pundits on the news talk shows, they talk about trade deficits and the Federal Reserve cutting interest rates of 1/4 point and another continuing resolution to fund the government till January of next year, and it's just noise. Because for most everybody else, we have our own personal economy that we have to deal with. I just know that groceries are more expensive. My electric bill went up. Prices are inflated. Wages not keeping up with inflation. And nobody really knows what the economy is going to do. How much faith do you have that President Trump's going to fix it? You really think you're going to get a $2,000 tariff rebate check? Is that what you're going to do for Christmas? Is that check coming in? Huh? Health insurance premiums, they going up, they're going down. How does a nation survive a $37 trillion national debt? And nobody knows. I have the sense that our economy is propped up with games that they play and just manipulating numbers. And if it does crash, it's going to crash very hard. I don't know what it's going to do. I think it's all manipulated by big banks and elite power brokers in circles that you and I are not invited in. And we're just pawns in their high stakes poker game. And nobody knows what the economy is going to be this time next year. However, I do know what the economy is going to do over the very long term. It's going to crash. And not just ours, but every economy in the world. And that is the subject of Revelation chapter 18. By this time, Antichrist has ascended to unprecedented heights of power. He's the ruler of the world, beginning at the beginning of the tribulation. With the true church raptured away, Satan is able to consolidate all false religions under the banner of the mother harlot church. There is no freedom of religion. There is no religious diversity. There is no ecumenicalism. It is all one religion. Halfway through, Antichrist is going to turn on that church. He's going to destroy that church. All religions are directed toward him, the worship of himself. And then Antichrist is going to take over the economies of the world. All commerce will run through him. We read about the mark of the beast in chapter 13, and I don't know, perhaps that is some kind of digital ID that you have to buy or sell. But I read in Revelation 13 and 16, he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And so the beast controls the one world government. He controls the one world religion. He controls the one world economy. He is controlling it. It is all joined together in one system. And in many ways, we already operate in a global economic system. Trade used to be from man to man. Then it went from village to village. But now, any person anywhere in the world can do business with anybody else anywhere in the world without either one of them ever leaving their house. And it is so that the vast majority of the people in the world are dependent upon somebody from somewhere else around the globe just to meet their basic needs. You already operate in a global economy. It's headed that way. That's what Revelation is going to talk about. It's the rise and the fall of the one world economy. Now, I've done some research and study, and I don't want to try to speculate as to what's going to happen because nobody knows. But I came across several articles, and I've got an article here tonight, and I rarely do this. I want to read some of this article, and I won't read all of it, but it's the economics of a one world government, and it's published earlier this year by the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. It is a liberal think tank is what it is. And they're proposing a one world government and how great it would be for the economies of everybody. Now, I'm going to read some of it, and it's a little bit lengthy. I cut a lot of it out. So don't let me lose you, all right? Just pay attention to this. And I think that you can see how that it possibly could happen. So here we go. Imagine a world where humanity is not bound by national borders, where economic potential is unleashed by seamless collaboration, minimal taxation, direct democracy, and transparent transactions. In this new reality, a one world government could pave the way for an unprecedented economic boom capable of increasing the global GDP by 100 times or more. And then the article goes on and suggests about 10 things that should happen to make this utopia happen. So number one, the potential for economic growth. Under the current system of national governance, nations, the global GDP is limited by inefficiencies, redundant expenditures, and restrictive economic policies. Today, the global GDP stands at approximately $100 trillion. But by unifying the world under one government, eliminating redundant bureaucracies, fostering a free market driven by technological innovation, humanity could potentially reach a GDP of 10 quadrillion within a century. I don't even know what 10 quadrillion is, but what they're saying, if we'd all work together, we just do so much better. We could eliminate costs associated with national defense. Global markets eliminate barriers to trade and investment. A single global currency regulated by a central authority, wonder who that would be. A one world government would promote technological collaboration on a scale never before seen by eliminating the barriers to sharing knowledge and technology. So if us and China would share all of our technology together, we would do so much better. Think of the breakthroughs in energy, healthcare, space exploration if we all just work together. Point two, minimal taxation, stimulating growth and entrepreneurship. In a one world government, the concept of taxation would be radically reimagined to stimulate growth and innovation. Instead of the high tax rates currently seen in many countries, a minimal tax rate would be implemented to incentivize entrepreneurship and investment. Implement a value-added tax rather than income or corporate taxes. Another potential source of revenue would come from environmental taxes. You ever heard of a carbon tax? United Nations trying to impose it on the United States right now. All right? So a global carbon tax. And then, number 3, the role of technology and innovation. Technology and innovation would play a crucial role in driving the economic growth of a one-world government by eliminating barriers to collaboration. A unified global government could create an environment where the best minds from around the world work together to solve humanity's most pressing challenges. Advances in artificial intelligence, biotechnology, renewable energy could all be accelerated under a system that prioritizes innovation and efficiency. Number 5, public services and welfare, a safety net for all. One of the key responsibilities of a government is to provide public services and welfare programs that support the well-being of its citizens. In a one-world government, the provision of public services could be streamlined and made more efficient through the use of technology. For example, all health care, education, and social welfare programs funded through a global tax. Now, don't that sound like a wonderful idea? Using blockchain technology, store all health care records on a decentralized service so they can be accessed from anywhere in the world. Well, that would never be abused. A universal guaranteed minimum income could also be implemented to provide financial security for all individuals. By providing a stable source of income, the one world government could reduce poverty. Number 6, the environmental benefits of a one world government. Economic growth and environmental sustainability are often seen as conflicting goals. However, a one world government could reconcile these two objectives by prioritizing sustainable development and investing in clean technology. So the Green New Deal is basically what they're talking about. Now I won't read the rest of it, but it goes on and on and on about all of these grand things. And this is just one political think tank that's putting out these ideas. But think of the utopia that we could create if we would just come together, eliminate nationalities, open borders, centralized health care records, one global currency, put everything in the hands of a group of powerful elites. Now, you and I sitting here right now can tell that is a recipe for disaster is what it is. That's the vision that will be implemented one day. It may not look exactly like that, but that's exactly where the world is headed. And when the Antichrist comes on the scene and begins to propose this, half of the world already wants it anyway. And when it happens, Antichrist is going to be sitting on top of the whole thing. And never before has so much power been invested in one man, religious, political, economic, the whole thing. And this is the subject of Revelation chapter 18. Antichrist rules the economy and the world from the city of Babylon. Babylon's second most mentioned city in the Bible, mentioned 4 times in Revelation 17 and 18. And my belief is that Babylon is Babylon. I believe that it is a literal city. It was an ancient city in Bible times, but I believe it will be rebuilt, and it will be the headquarters of Satan during the tribulation. It is a literal city. It's more than a city. In Revelation chapter 17, it represents the one world religion. And in chapter number 18, it represents the one world economy. There are some Bible students that believe that there are actually 2 Babylons, one in chapter 17 and one in chapter 18. I believe it's the same. I won't go through all of the reasons why. I believe it's the same. Now, last week, I read a couple of verses, and I read them quickly to make my case to you why I believe that Babylon will literally be rebuilt. So what I want to do is I want to back up, and I want to go back to some of those verses, and I want to read some of those verses and make my case because I think that it is important. So put a bookmark here. Put a bookmark in Isaiah 13 and one in Jeremiah chapter 50. We'll just read through some verses. And here's the reason why I read through it. Prophecy is very specific as to how Babylon is going to be destroyed. But Babylon has never been destroyed the way that the Bible describes it. Now, if the prophecy has not been fulfilled, then I have to believe the prophecy will be fulfilled. If the city has not been destroyed, in the manner that is prophesied. I don't think that the prophets overreached on it. All right? And somebody says, boy, I have a hard time believing that a city, an ancient city, will literally be rebuilt. And I understand that. I have a harder time believing that an ancient Bible prophecy is not going to be fulfilled. That's my problem, all right? So Isaiah 13, we'll just read some verses and then we'll get to chapter 18 and we'll be there for just a minute. But Isaiah 13 and verse 19, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. How did God destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? He did it suddenly. Fire and brimstone. That's never happened at Babylon. Look at, hold your finger there. Go to Jeremiah 50. Jeremiah 50. Don't lose Isaiah. Jeremiah 50, look at verse number 12. Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land and a desert. Because of the wrath of the Lord it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues. Look down in verse number 26. Come against her from the utmost border. Open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing of her be left. Verse number 40. As God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith the Lord, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell there. Babylon was never destroyed in that manner. The city was ransacked a number of times, and it died a very slow death over centuries, but nothing like it is described here. Come back to Isaiah chapter 14. Isaiah chapter 14, look at verse number 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land, and the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy feet and from the hard bondage wherein thou hast made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased? Look at verse number 7. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. When Babylon is going to be destroyed, Israel will be at peace, and the rest of the nations will be at rest. That's never been fulfilled. Come back to chapter 13. Come back to chapter 13. Verse number 2. Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand that they may go into the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my sanctified ones, I've also called my mighty ones from mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. Verse number 6, how ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand, it shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. The overthrow of Babylon will be in a time that's called the day of the Lord. Well, that wasn't in Old Testament times. That's time still to come. In verse number 20, but wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there, and the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant places, and her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. The Bible says that Babylon will never again be inhabited when it's destroyed. Well, that's never happened before. And so over and over when I read these prophecies, and there's one in Zechariah 5 as well, when I read these prophecies, that's been partially fulfilled, but never as described by the prophets, and it's telling me that Babylon will be rebuilt and it will be destroyed. Now come back to Revelation chapter 18 with me, and I'm going to walk through the chapter, and I'll walk through it very quickly tonight. But in Revelation chapter 18, there's 4 voices that you hear in this chapter. And the first voice is the voice of condemnation. Look at verse number 1. After these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. He cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy. So the vision begins with an angel that comes down and announces the fall of Babylon. And the fall of Babylon is announced as though it has already occurred. It's in the past tense. And it's telling us that its future is so certain, it is absolutely going to happen. And what we are told is what Babylon is going to look like once it is fallen. Verse 2, it has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. The city will be a den of demons. It's a city inhabited by Satan himself. It is filled with Satanism and the occult and all manner of demon activity. And here's the thing about it. The world will know that, but they will sell their soul to Satan in exchange for what he offers them. Verse 3 tells us that they will be destroyed. The city will be destroyed because of her idolatry and her materialism. The nations commit fornication with her. That's false worship. It is spiritual fornication. And remember, all false religions, they come out of Babylon, the mother harlot church. In the last part of verse 3, the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Babylon will be the new Wall Street. Money will flow through the city, and the merchants all become fabulously wealthy because of their alliance with the city. All of the nations will rush in to cash in on Babylon's financial prosperity. They throw off all restraint, and they indulge in anything for unbridled materialism. I was talking to Brother Jeff in the foyer about this, and I was thinking about this as I was reading this. If you will pay attention, you will notice that no nation on earth, including the United States, will ever allow morality to stand in the way of commerce and materialism. Never will. You look at the nations that we are in bed with as a nation, that we do business with. And I'm not making this political, but we make trade deals with nations that use slave labor in their sweatshops, religious persecution, human rights violations run by dictators, and we don't care. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the terrorist turned president in Syria. We don't care. And the nations will care nothing about the satanic practice of Babylon as long as they can share in the wealth. Fornication. Verse 5 and 6. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her. Where have I read that before? Have reached into heaven. Where have I read that? Oh, I know. Genesis 11. We're going to build a tower to reach unto heaven. Bible. We're going to build a tower to reach unto heaven, and could it be that a new tower is going to be built, and God sees it as a tower of sin? The only thing that's piled up to heaven are your sins. So in verse 6, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works, and the cup which she hath filled to her double. God has a very definitive justice system, and one aspect of it is distributive justice. God gives man what is due him. One part of the law is the law of retribution, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. And her punishment is going to be commensurate with her sins. As she has done to others, so will be done to her. And that phrase, double unto her, double according to her works. Oftentimes in the law, the Mosaic law, wrongdoers are often required to pay double restitution. And somehow Babylon's going to receive the double judgment of God. In the last part of verse 6, in the cup which she had filled to her double. What irony. The very cup that she used to seduce the nations of the world to drink of the wine of her immorality, that very cup becomes the instrument of her own punishment. Verse number 7, how much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her, as much as she has bragged and boasted, give her that much torment and sorrow. For she has said in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. Her wealth has given her an inflated opinion of herself. She has false security in her self-sufficiency. She's too big to fall. That's what she is. She'll never be like a widow and mourn the loss of someone. So verse number 8, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine. She shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. Comes in one day. And then a couple other places down, it talks in verse 10 and verse number 19, it talks about 1 hour. Verse 8 says she shall be utterly burned with fire. Does that mean it's going to happen in one 24-hour period and it's gone? Or is it just, it's saying a short amount of time? And again, I don't speculate here because I don't know how it's going to happen. But I could almost see a nuclear attack on this city fulfilling verse number 8. There's a voice of condemnation. But then in this chapter, there is a voice of consecration. Look at verse number 4. I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. So a second voice is heard. It's not directed toward Babylon. It's directed toward believers. Tribulation saints who have come to Christ, and now they have to live through this horrible time. They're being persecuted. They're being hunted. They're being pressured to take the mark of the beast. And they have to live in this horrible world, but the angel warns them, do not become partakers of the world. And here's what I wonder. Is it possible with all of the persecution brought against these tribulation saints, is there a temptation to compromise? Would there be for you? I mean, just reality, just humanity. But the angel warns them, don't come out, either physically or as much out of the system as you can. It reminds me of the call to Lot in Sodom. Flee the city. Judgment is coming upon the city. You need to flee, lest the judgment upon the city becomes judgment upon you. I'm telling you that judgment's going to happen in Babylon, and when it happens, you don't want to be in the city. You don't want to be standing anywhere near. And here's what I would say tonight. We have to live in Babylon. We don't want Babylon to live in us. I know we're part of the system. I know. But even now, I don't want to be part of the system. I don't want to be part of some world utopia because I know where it ends. This is just fluorology, so just disregard it. You know how appealing it would be? I shouldn't say this. You know how appealing it would be to live in, I don't know, Montana? Raise your own beef in your own garden, solar panel, and no TV, and no people, and no internet, and just be as divorced from it as you possibly can be. There's a voice of consecration, leave, but you don't want to be a partaker of Babylon because you don't want to share in her plagues. I really think that's in the heart of every true believer. Sure. Love not the world, neither the things are in this world. There's a voice of consternation. In verse 9 down to verse 20, there are three groups of people who witness the fall of Babylon, and they're going to mourn. They stand at a distance and they watch as she burns to the ground, and they are shocked at how suddenly she falls, and they realize how much they have lost with her destruction. She was so strong. She was so powerful. She was indestructible. She was too big to fall. And what a contrast that she was under the reign of Antichrist and what she's going to be under the judgment of God. And they all lament. They don't lament for the right thing. They don't lament her sin. They lament the loss. The loss. Every once in a while, there's an event that causes the whole world to stop, pay attention. 9/11. The whole world stopped when 9/11 happened. October 7th, when Hamas attacked Israel, the whole world took notice. I think that one day this is going to be the only thing that's in the news when Babylon's destroyed. The monarchs of the earth are going to mourn. Look at verse number 9. The kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. It is said that it is not safe to put all of your eggs in one basket, but that's exactly what the leaders of the nation are going to do. They're going to hedge every bet with the Antichrist. And when Babylon is destroyed, they see their wealth go up in smoke as the city goes in smoke. But then you have the merchants of the earth, verse 11 down to verse number 17. I'll not read it all. But the merchants of the earth, and it lists all of these different categories. You have precious metals, you have clothing, you have building materials, you have spice and perfumes, you have food and drink, you have agriculture. And all the merchants of the earth that are invested with Babylon, when Babylon is destroyed somehow, then all of their work, all of their wealth is destroyed as well. I thought about this. The merchants, the global conglomerates that control just about everything that you consume. Did you know that one study found that 80% of everything that you buy at the grocery store is owned by one of 5 global companies? All the major food brands, Nabisco, Kraft, all of that. But there's basically 5 conglomerates that controls about 80% of everything you buy at the grocery store. And one day, these large multinational global corporations that control every commodity and every trade, it all comes out of Babylon, is going to be destroyed. And notice if you would, let me find this. Look at the last part of verse number 13. And slaves and souls of men. Now that's interesting. Talking about these merchants and everything that they produce, and the last thing, the least valuable, are the slaves and the souls of men. I don't know that slavery is going to be brought back, but you know slavery does exist right now, right? You're aware of that. You don't think that the clothes that you wear and the phone that you carry wasn't made in some sweatshop in China? And somebody in forced labor in Indonesia on livable wages? That could be what it's talking about. Verse 17 through 19 talks about the mariners of the sea. Look at verse 17. For in 1 hour so great riches has come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? The transport companies, the airlines, the freight haulers trying to get into port, they have all gone in with Babylon. Everybody's getting fabulously wealthy, and in 1 hour it is all gone, and now they're weeping and wailing, the voice of consternation. There's a last verse in here, or last voice, and it is the voice of celebration. Look at verse 20. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. The mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of harpers and musicians and the pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman or whatsoever craft he be, he shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. The angel says that when God destroys the city, it'd be like as if you took a huge millstone. You know what that is, right? If you took a huge millstone and you cast it into the sea, and you're thinking of the ripple effects, I'm thinking of it sinking to the bottom and you can't get it up. It's done. There's no joyful music heard in the city. There's no craftsmen working their trade. There's no celebrations. The activity of daily life is all gone. Why? Because of verse 24. And here was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth. Think of the blood of the saints caused by the hand of Babylon, and God's going to take vengeance. This false religious system and this satanic system has slain so many of God's servants, and God says, I'm going to take the case up myself and I will vindicate them. And it all comes full circle. The city and the system that rebelled against God in Genesis chapter 11 will finally experience the judgment of God. So these are the voices of Revelation chapter 18. The voice of condemnation, the voice of consternation, the voice of consecration, the voice of celebration. I want to emphasize one verse just before Joe comes, and that's verse 4. I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. I know that it's speaking to tribulation saints. There is a call for them to come out of Babylon, and there is a call for you and I to come out of the world. The spirit of Babylon is already in our world, but God wants us to be different. And if I am in love with the world, according to 1 John chapter 2, I am not in love with the Father. And 1 John talks about how the world is passing away, but whoso doeth the will of God abideth forever. You get tied up in this world system, it is very, very temporary. All glitter and all gold to fulfill the lusts of the flesh, but it's all going up in smoke. Everything that you buy with money is going to burn up one of these days. It's all going up in smoke. These tribulation saints in the most difficult of times are called upon to stand strong. Don't bow to the pressure. Don't be seduced by the gold, and don't faint in persecution and refuse to bow to the system. And I think when I read about those tribulation saints saying, how can I not answer the call and reject the system of Babylon when I live in the best of times? And what I want is I want a love for God that far surpasses any love for the things of this world. That is the end of the tribulation. It's over. And in chapter 19, Jesus is coming back, and business is about to pick up.